I've got a CGC unboxing that includes one book that went through a pretty extensive comic book CPR process. Hey there, today I have a CGC unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to open up 7 books that I sent to CGC, and 6 of them are mine and 1 of them belongs to a friend of mine. And not too long ago I actually recorded a process where I put this book through a pretty extensive comic book CPR process, which included wet cleaning, dry cleaning, pressing multiple times, and my friend sent me this book as a book that maybe I could practice on, but also kind of getting him into the CGC slabbing experience. And so we were kind of speculating back and forth what we thought that the grade of the book should be, like as it is before, how it looks afterwards. And I sent him photos, and I did produce that video. So if you want to go back and take a look at that, you can kind of see just kind of where I was at with that particular book and where I'm at with my comic book cleaning and pressing journey, as it's something that I'm still trying to improve on and get better at. So this is a little bit of a experiment here. I am a little nervous, as I always am, to open these, but particularly nervous around that book. So if I do happen to grab that book, I don't know what is inside here. I might save that to the end because that one, I know my friend's counting on me to deliver as high a grade as possible on that book for him. So let me go ahead and get this thing unboxed. I don't know which books are inside. I don't know what grades they got. I didn't check beforehand, so my reactions are genuine. This is the first time that I'm seeing you actually see the grades just moments before I do. And I am ready to get these books out of the box so we can see the results of my latest CGC submission. So here we go. Right, so actually got some cardboard. All right, I guess my stack of slabs was small enough where they added that little bit of rubber band additional cardboard here. So I've got 7 books. I do expect all of these to get a 9.8. If there's an exception, I'll let you know. Certainly the one book that I worked on, where I pressed and cleaned it, I don't expect that one to get a 9.8. And I'll kind of go through that once I get to that particular book. But let's get to it. All right, so we have, all right, this is a great book. This is Star Wars Mara Jade, #1. This is from Dark Horse Comics, August 1998. My arms are probably going to get tired holding this book up if I tell you the whole story. But essentially, I bought this book from Mile High Comics. I listed it for sale, and I thought it was a 9.6. And the book sold almost right away. And I sold it for really no profit. Like, it was just a few dollars more than what I spent to acquire the book. And I didn't want to sell it. And I don't know why I did sell it. I think I was just bummed that I didn't quite think it was a 9.8. And I immediately went back to Mile High Comics as soon as I sold it, and I bought another one. And when I got this one, I really felt like this was it was almost like I will this one into a 9.8. I was like, it's at least a 9.6. It is probably has the best chance, or had a better chance, I would say, of getting a 9.8 than the previous one. And it was an expensive book to acquire, but I believe in the character of Mara Jade, that she is somebody that they're going to want to use down the road in the Star Wars universe. And this is considered her first solo series. So she appeared first in the Heir to the Empire series. She shares that first appearance with Grand Admiral Thrawn. So that's going to be a tough book to acquire if you're just interested in Mara Jade. She then appears on her first cover later in the series, but this is her first solo series. So let's see what this book got. 9.8. So this one to me was the most important book to me in the order. Uh, it's actually it's not a rare book, but these Dark Horse Star Wars books are still, as time goes on, they're harder to find in high grade over time because they're just thrown in dollar bin books over the years. And of course, now as collectors have picked up on it over the last 3 or 4 years, now the higher grade books are being snatched up and sent to CGC. So this is fantastic. It's amazing. This book was not pressed. None of the books in here were pressed except for that one. And I'm very, very excited. This to me is one of my personal Star Wars keys. And because I don't have Heir to the Empire #1, to me, this is the next greatest Mara Jade key. Off to a good start. I'm gonna look. Okay, Captain Carter. Captain Carter #1 from May 2022. I'm sort of laughing just because I'm nervously laughing. This to me was one of the books that was released in early 2022 that has the potential to be the cover of the year. In 2021, I really felt like it was the Wonder Woman Black and Gold #1 was the cover of the year for me. 2022, even though we're about halfway through, I think I have about 5 different books in the running. This is one of them. The Captain Carter hype really took off when the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness news broke, and then as the movie released and we got to see Peggy as Captain Carter in the movie, there was a lot of like debate and speculation over her first appearance as Captain Carter versus her first appearance as Captain America, or is she a variant of Captain Britain? There was a lot of back and forth between kind of what her first appearance was. And I'll check the label here in a second to see if CGC actually put the first appearance of Peggy Carter as Captain Carter. We'll see. The community and the market really started to lean towards this recently released book. And I love this cover. It has a retro style. It matches the What If animation, which I thought was brilliant. So here we go. This is Captain Carter #1. 9/8. Awesome. Oh, this is great. I love it. It has I'm kind of a sucker for sort of that sort of retro looking cover that just, it looks like it's a little bit of has some wear and tear, or right, but it's done in that What If style. And I'm looking at the label. First comic book appearance of Captain Carter, and then in quotes, vintage cover. So that's awesome. So those, I forgot this, I don't remember which books were in here. So the Mara Jade book was huge. This one also huge. That's great. That's fantastic. Love it. Okay, next one. Okay, Star Wars The High Republic #1. And this is the Stephanie Hans variant from 2021. I was kind of getting into a Star Wars kick. This was recently, they've talked about High Republic, not necessarily season 2, it's just the next set of Star Wars High Republic stories that are going to be coming out. And those stories are going to be even set further in the past. So what they ended up doing was telling a particular story of the High Republic, and then they're going to go back and not necessarily do prequels, but it's set way before this iteration of High Republic. I bought a bunch of High Republic #1s, just a single copy of each, but I got a lot of variants, and I've always loved this one. This was my favorite High Republic #1, the Hans variant. I thought the colors were great. The fact that Yoda's on the cover, it just gives it some level of familiarity. So as Star Wars collectors see this, they may not understand yet quite High Republic or what does that mean, but they see Yoda and they think Star Wars. So Hans is an excellent, fantastic artist, so it just had a lot of things going for it. And I did pick up a second copy of this later on. I got it from Dark Dominion Comics, and I sat the two side by side, and I just figured I would send the best one in. So here we go. This is High Republic #1, the Hans variant. 9/8. Awesome. So good. Now this one, I wouldn't I wouldn't want to restore it to get the green label, but I think a green label obviously would have matched it perfectly, but I will absolutely take the blue label here. So this is the first appearance of Keeve Trennis, Skier, Loden Greatstorm, Stellan Gios, and Vernestra Rowe. I'm a Star Wars fan. I think High Republic's going to be important. I think Kiev is also going to be an important character. And the speculation and rumor is that the upcoming Star Wars project, The Acolyte, we don't know who's in it. We don't know who the Acolyte is. It could be her. So if that happens, if it's announced at Comic-Con or any time after that the Acolyte, here are the details of the Acolyte show, and it's based on a character from the High Republic, these are going to be great. So very, very cool. Love it. So this order, if I remember, was a mixture of books that I had estimated had a lot of potential in a 9.8 based on the personal grades that I had assigned the books, but then also the values. So as I go through and I assign grades to my raws, then I also have a secondary worksheet that I can query that says, like, find me the books that I gave a 9.8 that don't require pressing and cleaning and as is, and then kind of sort them by most valuable. And then I kind of cherry pick off of that list of books that I want to prioritize and books that I would love to display on the wall and so forth. And those three definitely fit the bill. So let's keep it going. I must have been on the Star Wars kick. This is Star Wars Crimson Reign number 3. This is the David Nakayama variant cover. This was released in May 2022, or has a release date of May 2022. So same as the Captain Carter. And if I remember right, I did splurge and pre-order that and this one. And it was one of those where at the time I sent this in, which was, 2-3 months ago, there was no GPA on this. It just being a high incentive book that I felt was a 9.8, again, didn't require any additional CPR or pressing. David Nakayama, one of my favorites. I have a long list of favorite artists. Really thought the cover was great. Again, at the time there weren't no GPA sales. There were no recent CGC 9.8 sales that I could look at on eBay. So it was. So I'll have to look at the census on this one too and just see how many there are. But let's take a look at Crimson Reign number 3. 9.8. Excellent. And there's no additional detail on the label. Just a great Nakayama Star Wars cover. Fantastic. Okay, 2 more to go of my books, and then the last book that I'll talk about that had the pressing and cleaning. Okay, so speaking of covers that I like, this is the Red Sonja Valentine's Special. This is from Dynamite. This is the 2022 Valentine Special, so February 2022. This is a cover done by Sonja, and she has really taken off thanks to her Catwoman covers. And just before those Catwoman incentive covers really started to take the hobby by storm, she did a Vampirella Valentine's book and the Red Sonja. I went a little crazy with this one because there are different variants, and Dynamite will do this where it's just a recolored or a black and white version. They just kind of come up with a lot of different variants based on color scheme and things like that. I got several of the trade, one of the color version, and this is the black and white version. Unfortunately, Dynamite being what it is, the paper quality and everything, the other books just had too many defects, and most of them got 9.2, 9.4. This one I really thought was a 9.8. I thought it was very clean, no color rub, no defects, and as a fan of Sonja, I just thought, let me get at least one of those slabbed. And this was what I thought had the best chance of getting a 9.8, so here we go. All right, yes. Now, these virgin covers, I mean, a book like this really tells you like why they're popular, right? You get the nice frame, the CGC label, and so all of the details of the book obviously are right at the top, and then you can just enjoy the art for what it is. So this is an amazing book. Like I said, Sonja's popularity has risen since this book came out and since I sent it, and this Red Sonja book is still a pretty desirable book because of the cover. I don't want to say it's harder to get Dynamite books than a 9.8. They're certainly out there and they're plentiful, but it is a challenge. You typically have to buy multiple copies just to find it, so happy to have this one. Also in the running for cover of the year. I do prefer the color one to the black and white, but like I said, I had to kind of choose, and I really feel like the color version I had was probably closer to a 9.4, so I'll take the 9.8. Okay, last one of mine. Something is Killing the Children, number 4. I will do this where I will slip in one book from this series into a batch that gets sent off to CGC. I essentially invested in 2 copies of each book and am slowly getting each issue graded. And I don't have issue number 4 in a slab yet, so this is the first one. So my plan is to have one graded and one raw. But I'm a big believer in this series. Those single digit issues, I just feel like those are going to be the most collectible and desirable of all when we go back and look at this series. But it's a great read, and it's just a matter of time before some significant development news picks up. And I'm a big investor in this series, created by James Tynion and Werther Dell'Edera. So here we go. This is Something is Killing the Children, number 4 from December 2019. 9.8. Awesome. All right. So 6 for 6 on my books. Sorry in advance if the other one doesn't get 9.8, but this one, I am seeing some Newton rings there. You probably picked that up right in there, just under the HIL. So that's unfortunate, but nevertheless, this primarily all black cover on both sides, a real pain to get this one in a 9.8. So I'm super happy about that. I have 1, 4, 5, and 6 now in a 9.8. So that's fantastic. I'm going to try and keep my streak going. And just, again, as I send in submissions, I just go through my Boom Studios bin, grab an issue that I feel is a 9.8 candidate, and send it in. So there you go. Now, last but not least, like I said, I'm super nervous. I felt like this book, and I mean this not to hurt any feelings or offend anybody, but I don't believe that when I received the book prior to me working on it, that it was a 9.8 candidate. I really felt like you were dealing with a range of a book between a 7 and a 9. And then it just kind of ended up being, what could I do to help improve the book? But also, even if I could improve it, are there just too many defects where it just doesn't make sense? I just kind of went back and forth, but a friend of mine insisted, continue with it, continue to work on it, and it'll be kind of a fun experiment, a learning experience to see from his perspective when he's looking at a book, what is that really true CGC grade range that he could expect without a book being cleaned and pressed. And then from my perspective, just looking at it, trying to pick out which defects I could improve on versus which defects, color breaks, and so forth are just going to be part of the book's history. Sharp. So, and I do have a 9.0 that has similar spine ticks, but maybe not as many. So that's where I'm using kind of that as a guideline, as a baseline. But the corners are really rounded and soft on that 9.0 that I have. So that's where I'm conservatively leaving this book as an 8.0. And I think that it's possible. It is certainly possible to get an 8.5 out of it. I think for me personally as well, too, the page color, that's probably going to be, potentially something that's going to bring down the level of attractiveness for the book. And then this to me is what's going to make it. It's going to drop at a half grade. It's just this little bit of tanning down here. So I'm pretty harsh and I'm pretty picky. So I'm going to say that this is an 8. So I think my original grade was a 7.5. So it was a lot of work to bump it up a half grade. Did it go a full grade to an 8.5? Maybe. You'd have to send it in and see what CGC tells you. Let's take a look and see what this book got. and then I can kind of point out some of the areas where maybe I did some improvement versus some of the other more defined color breaks that were going to hurt the book's grade. And I could probably just sit here and keep talking about it, but it would be best to get to the book and show you the grade. So here we go. Okay, so it's all right. So not a key book. It's Amazing Spider-Man 220. It's from September 1981. It's considered, just a standard Amazing Spider-Man book. It is a semi-key, minor key, because Moon Knight makes an appearance, and Moon Knight was hot, obviously, because of his series and so forth. But it's a direct edition, and let's just see what this book got once and for all. I think I might even close my eyes for this one. I don't know. I'm just more nervous about this book because it's not mine, but here we go. 8.0. All right, that might have been my guess. I'm going to have to go back and watch that video. But I believe that 8.0 was kind of what I thought this book would top out as. So, I think I had maybe speculated when I first picked it up that it was a 7 or a 7.5. The interesting thing to me that I can see is that I believe that some of the pressing that I did, it had a bit of reversion. So I'm going to see if I can get this on camera. But as I shift it around, you can kind of see right there, there's a good shot, right? So you can see, like, you're looking at that going, boy, you probably crack that and press it again, right? I did press this and it did come out, but I think it must have gone through a bit of reversion. However, I put this through a fairly extensive wet cleaning process, and the back of the book looks pretty strong. It isn't off-white pages. It's not even off-white to white, by the way. It's just off-white. And so nothing I could do about the interior pages. So that was another thing too. It's like the pages don't really look all that striking. But what I ended up doing was basically wet cleaning the trade, a little bit of the character box, and a bit of Moon Knight here. And it definitely looks better. A lot of the dirt did come up and it's permanently gone. But I'm just disappointed with some of the waves. So I'll put in the graders notes and see what they gave it. But there you go. It's 8.0, which is, I think, when my friend and I were talking about it, that was sort of the acceptable grade. We thought, like, if we could get the book to 8.0, then the experiment felt like it was worth it, right? So not necessarily like a high-end investment book, but really just sort of, again, kind of proving the point. I'm also seeing a little bit of a finger bend up top. I don't remember that. I have to go back through my video and my photos to see if that finger bend was there. But that's something too. So yeah, a bit of reversion. I don't know. I feel like if I were able to really permanently get those out, the book might have been an 8.5, but I was worried it was going to come back a 7 or a 7.5. It's the color breaking spine ticks there, as you can see next to Spider-Man along the spine. That's what I was most concerned about, especially that one right there. It was too much visible damage. The corners looked okay, especially the top corner was pretty strong, but it is what it is. It's an 8.0. So there you go, my friend. It's, I'd say based on my estimate, it did get a bump from a 7 or a 7.5 up to an 8. But there was probably some additional cold pressing that maybe could have got it up to an 8.5. But I'm almost thinking, even if those creases are gone, because of the number of spine ticks that were just, I mean, they weren't just those razor thin. They're pretty significant ticks. So I just felt like it was not going to get up close to the 9.0 range. But I'll put in the graders notes and see if they count this waviness on the cover against us. But there you go. So those are the books. Really not bad. It was a 6 for 6 effort plus 1 experiment. And now I can kind of assess where I am with my cleaning and pressing skills as well. So I appreciate my friend letting me work on his book, letting me get the book graded and go through the process, because I think that unless you start to get books back from CGC that you have pressed and cleaned, you don't quite know exactly where you stand. I understand that I've got a ways to go. I'm still learning the process, but a really fun and interesting experiment to see where I'm at in on that journey. It's nice to know that I can still pick out books that I think are 9.8 and send them in and get the grade. So really happy with this order. This was fantastic. So appreciate you watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.